All right. Good morning, everyone. It is 8:37. I will call this City of San Angelo Development Corporation meeting to order. Guy, do I still need to read the notice all the way through?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Seriously?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Notice is hereby given in accordance with an order of the Office of the Governor issued March 16th, 2020 of a regular meeting of the City of San Angelo Development Corporation scheduled for June 24th, 2020 at 8:30 a.m. The council chambers at the McNeese Convention Center, South Meeting Room, 501 Rio Concho Drive, San Angelo, Texas, will not be open to the public. COSA DC members and staff will attend virtually in order to advance the public health goal of limiting face-to-face meetings, also called social distancing, to slow the spread of coronavirus COVID-19. There will be no public access to the regular meeting location. A public free of charge audio video broadcast of the meeting will be available on the city's YouTube channel at this link. The meeting agenda and the agenda packet are posted online at the City of San Angelo website link. Member of the public who wish to submit public comment on agenda items must send their written comments via email to nora.navarez@cosatx.us by noon, June 23rd, 2020. The subject must be in the following format: public comment, item, description, June 24, 2020. All emails must include your name and address. Please note all public comment emails relevant to the posted agenda items received by the deadline will be published as part of the agenda packet prior to the meeting and therefore public record. Call 325-653-7197 for staff assistance. A record of the meeting will be available to the public in accordance with the Open Meetings Act upon written request. Okay. I've already called to order. If y'all would please bow your heads, I will open us in prayer this morning. Heavenly Father, thank you for this time that we get to come together and look at the economic benefits of our community. Father, we would ask that you watch over and guide us through all of these crazy times right now, that you help the City of San Angelo get through them. Father, we would like to praise you for the rain. We would always ask for more for our area. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. Okay. We will move now to public comment. Issues or items that are not on the agenda may be raised by the public at this time. Citizens should speak from the podium or email. Begin by stating their name and limit remarks to less than 3 minutes. Board members may request that a discussed item be placed on a future agenda. The board takes public comment on all regular agenda items during the discussion of those items. Or did we have any public comment emails?
No, sir, not at all.
Okay. Does the board have any comments they'd like to share? If none, I will move on to the consent agenda. A, consider approving the May 27, 2020 meeting minutes. B, consider approving the necessary corporation disbursements. C, consider approving the May 2020 financial statements. And D, consider adoption of a motion authorizing the board president to negotiate and execute an annual agreement with J.R. Silva Tree Service and Landscaping for the BRC building and industrial park signage. Do I have a motion?
Move for approval of consent items A through D.
Thank you, Bill. And Garland, that was a second?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then I'll call for the vote. As normal, just go down the list. Garland.
Yes.
Max.
Yes.
Bill.
Aye.
Ed. And Dr. Cummings?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? I think that's everybody. Okay, motion carries. Moving on to 5, regular agenda. A is an update presentation regarding the 2018 COSA DC contract audit. Presentation by internal auditor, Mr. Brandon Sanders. Good morning, Brandon.
Good morning, everyone. Like he said, my name is Brandon Sanders. I'm the internal auditor for the city of San Angelo, and I conducted the 2018 contract audit for COSA DC. This was done back in March, and took a little while to get this to you due to the corona setback. But for the contract audit for 2018, we looked at 41 contracts that COSA DC had. And out of those 41 contracts, there was a total of $5 million plus paid out in 2018. And with that, out of those 41, there was only 3 that we really had, or that I had any comments on. I don't know if y'all can see the spreadsheet or not, but number 16 on the spreadsheet was dealing with the utility services out at the industrial park. They had completed, AEP had completed the work, but had not submitted final billing at the time of me completing the audit back in March. I did have an updated meeting with the staff in June, and they have submitted final billing, and COSA DC has paid as agreed. One similar to that was for the industrial park again. It was a similar type deal where at the time of the audit, we hadn't had any action on it as far as payment. Work had been done, and since then, payment had been sent out as bill was received. There was only one other finding that I had, and that was dealing with a economic incentive for the sign shop. It was mainly due to confusion on the part of filling out the final FTE information. They were supposed to have a certain number of FTEs, and upon filling their, or upon turning in their final documentation, there was a misnumber, but staff had caught the discrepancy prior to me conducting the audit and had other paperwork that supported that they did complete what they were supposed to. And so those were really the only 3 things. Everything else was paid as agreed, and no issues found during the time of the audit.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good news. Anyone have any questions or concerns for Brandon? Ready? Good?
Thank you, Brandon.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate it. All right. We will move on now to B and the next. B, C, and D, E. These are all public hearings. Nora, how's the best way to go about this?
On the public hearings, well, being that they're public hearings, we had not received any notification on those as well. Did not receive a call or an email, so.
And they were supposed to do that beforehand?
Yes, correct. That would be included in that.
Okay. All right. So I can just read it? Do I still need?
Dan has one option, something to say.
Right. I think you're on the right track. You still need to open each one up individually for public hearing.
Okay.
You can state you've been advised that there have been no public comments.
So I'll still open and close them.
Yes.
But when I open it, there's no chance for me to have any comment coming back to me, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
That's correct.
okay. All right. We will now move on to B, public hearing regarding the use of sales and use tax funds in an amount not to exceed $400,000 to provide an economic development incentive to WMC Liquidation Company, DBA Bryan Wendland Corporation, DBA Wendland Tank Corp, and formerly DBA Wendland Manufacturing Corp, for a project related to a business enterprise that creates or retains primary jobs, as authorized for a Type B corporation under Local Government Code, Chapter 505, Subchapter C. Presentation by Shannon Scott, Business Retention and Expansion Coordinator.
Good morning, board. Can everyone hear me okay?
Can.
Loud and clear.
As President Cole stated, before we are able to expend any funds for a project, we are required to hold a public hearing as required by Section 505-159 of the Local Government Code. This public hearing is going to be for Wendland Tank Corp. As you might recall, this project was approved at last month's board meeting and then subsequently ratified by City Council at their June 16th monthly meeting or bi-monthly meeting. Just to give you a little bit of information again on the project, they do specialize in the manufacturing and fabrication of steel tanks and pressure vessels for the water, wastewater, and chemical industries, as well as aroma tanks for the natural gas industry and light gauge tanks for the oil markets. Their expansion is going to include a new building as well as infrastructure improvements, and they are currently located at 601 West 11th Street, which is in single member District 4, excuse me, which is Councilwoman Lucy Gonzalez's district.
On their property.
Guy, can you click on the next slide, please? Thank you. They currently have 20 full-time employees, and they do anticipate hiring up to 5 additional employees within the next 3 years, with those employees having an average salary of $43,000. So with their expansion, they do anticipate investing up to $2 million for that new building, as well as equipment, machinery, and infrastructure improvements. And just to remind everyone, the incentives that were approved at last month's board meeting include a $400,000 capital investment grant once that $2 million has been expended for the new facility, equipment, machinery, and infrastructure improvements. And of course, as a part of that agreement, they must retain their 20 current employees. And again, for every business retention and expansion project that we conduct, we do run an economic impact analysis to determine our return on investment. And in this particular case, we do anticipate $10.4 million in annual economic output, as well as $4 million in gross area product annually. And again, there is a rendering of some of the infrastructure improvements to include some of the road construction as well as sewer and water lines. And with that, I would ask to open the public hearing.
Okay. I will now at this time open the public hearing. It is 8:51. Having no comments from the public, I will now close the public hearing at 8:51. Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you.
We will move on to C, public hearing for the expenditure of up to $70,000 for a project
This is important to me.
using sales and use tax funds in an amount not to exceed $70,000 to partially fund City of San Angelo cleanup, open space improvement, landscape and related facilities necessary to enhance the Knickerbocker Road right-of-way and adjoining Bureau of Reclamation land as open space fronting the San Angelo Regional Airport, Mathis Field, a project authorized under Section 501.103 infrastructure improvement, street landscaping, and Section 505.152 of the Texas Local Government Code for open space improvements necessary to promote tourism and develop new or expanded business enterprises. Presentation by Mr. Robert.
Thank you, Mr. President. As the board may recall, the board approved the expenditure of not to exceed $70,000 for a project across Knickerbocker Road from the airport entrance exit road We utilized the services of the lake maintenance folks to clear an area of about 14 acres of brush and other sort of unsightly conditions, if you will, and removal of the fence along the right-of-way. This resulted in a total of about 58 piles of brush that need to be disposed of, and a little over a quarter mile of new fencing. The board approved the $70,000 expenditure to cover these expenses, and also to replace the fence. And that would leave us then a little bit of funding for some regrading in the area and seeding with native plants.
I don't want them to go, I don't want, people can't hear us, right? I don't want.
The intent of the project is to improve the visual image, if you will, of folks arriving in San Angelo at the airport when they first leave the airport to improve the rather unsightly brushy area that was across from the entrance road. At this time, I'd ask you to open a public hearing.
All right. It is 8:54. I will now open this public hearing. Having no public comment, I will now close this public hearing at 8:54. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
We'll now move on to D, public hearing regarding the use of sales and use tax funds of up to or not to exceed 250,000 in increments as authorized from time to time by the board, subject to city council approval for planning, engineering, and other professional service and construction and related services and materials for development of industrial transportation infrastructure and improvements suitable for industrial rail transportation services necessary to promote or develop new and expanded business enterprises that create or retain primary jobs on a tract of land acquired by Coast C, being 180 acres more or less, located adjacent to the south right-of-way of Farm to Market 2105, 1.5 miles west of Highway 277, and adjacent to the easterly boundary of an abandoned railroad right-of-way, a project authorized under Chapter 505 of the Texas Development Corporation Act. Presentation by Mr. Bob Steeman.
Thank you. As the board may recall, this is a project that was approved by the board. The $250,000 is intended to cover some of the preliminary work that may be required on this site. We are in negotiations with an operator and also with Texas Pacifico, so we're not and that operator, by the way, is also in negotiation with Texas Pacifico. So we're not certain how much work we're going to be required to do at the site. We asked for $250,000 to be made available so that some of the preparatory work could be done as it is necessary. This money is not a blanket approval. Individual projects or individual expenditures will still need to be approved by both the board and city council. The slide up there now is a sort of conceptual layout, if you will, of the what the facility may look like. Once we have an operator on board, this is subject to change, revision, maybe a total redo. But this gives sort of an idea of what could be done out there. And at this time, I'd ask that you open the public hearing.
Very good. It is 8:57, and I will now open the public hearing. There is no public comment. I will now close the public hearing at 8:57. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Moving on to E, public hearing regarding the use of sales and use tax funds for a purchase of additional water supply by the city of San Angelo under interlocal agreement with the cities of Midland and Abilene for an indefinite period subject to review on every 10th anniversary pursuant to a ballot proposition adopted November 2nd, 2010. A project authorized for a Type 4B Development Corporation under Chapters 501 and 505 of the Texas Development Corporation Act. Presentation by Mr. Guy Andrews.
Thank you, President Cole. In terms of the agreement that have been signed with Fort Stockton Holdings is that the city of San Angelo will be entitled to purchase 5,000 acre feet of water annually at the volume rates that are shown below. And on January 1st, 2031, that volume rate in effect will go to 55 cents per 1,000 gallons, adjusted upward by 0.5%. And thereafter, in a like manner, on the first day of January of each succeeding year, the volume rate then in effect shall be adjusted upward by 0.5%. And so I would ask that you would open public meeting.
Very well. I will now open the public hearing. It is 8:58. Being that there is no public comment, I will now close the public hearing at 8:58. Thank you, Guy. All right, moving on to F, consider approving the expenditure not to exceed $25,000 for maintenance, mowing, upkeep, liability insurance, and other routine expenses associated with 180.452 acre tract of land acquired by Costa DC located adjacent to the south right of way of Farm to Market 2105, 1.5 miles west of Highway 277 and adjacent to the easterly boundary of an abandoned railroad right of way. Project authorized under Chapter 505 of the Texas Development Corporation Act. Next up. Presentation made by Mr. Bob Schneeman.
Thank you, Mr. President. As we just discussed on the $250,000 item during the public hearing, each individual expenditure on this project needs to be individually approved. Staff is asking for a $25,000 maintenance fund, if you will. As you can see from this picture, we've got a considerable amount of weed growth out there. There's some more of the weeds and yet again some more of the weeds. We had an agreement, or we had a potential agreement with one of Reese Albert's superintendents to mow this and bale it and use it for cattle feed. However, after he'd looked at it and saw the high weed content, and he decided it wasn't suitable for cattle feed. We were approached by the farmer who is farming the city land immediately to the east, asking us to do something about the weeds, and we have he has offered to take care of the weeds for a price of $20 per acre, which seems very reasonable. So we would like to enter into a contract with him for that. In addition, the city traffic division put up a chain and a couple of posts set in concrete to prevent access to the area, and also a sign stating property of City of San Angelo, no dumping and no trespassing. We had a problem with some trash being dumped out there just beyond this entrance road. We were fortunate. One of the dumpers, if you will, was an out-of-town roofing company. We contacted the sheriff's department. They were able to identify the roofer and approached him about cleaning it up, and not only did the roofer clean up what one of his subcontractors had dumped out there, but he also cleaned up everything else that had been dumped there. And we're hopeful now that this barricade, if you will help keep any more of that from happening. It's reasonable to that we would need to reimburse the traffic folks for the money they spent for the posts and chain and lock and what have you, and the sign. We also will need liability insurance on this property, just as similar to what we carry on the industrial park. And so what we're asking is for this $25,000 maintenance fund to be available to us to take care of those sort of routine expenses as they arise. Be happy to answer any questions.
Do I have any questions or concerns from the board?
No, this is Max. No questions, just a comment, and it's probably just administrative on our notes on the summary. The second paragraph says that at its meeting on June 27th, 2020, which hasn't happened yet. I think they were probably referring to the meeting on May 27th. So just a little kind of typo administrative discrepancy that I noticed.
It was, in fact, the May 27th meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, Max. Anyone else with any questions or concerns? All right, very good. I will, I need a motion in a second.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Ed. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bill. I will now call for the vote. Bill,
Aye.
Dr. Cummings,
Aye.
Mr. Carrasco,
Aye.
Max, Garland.
Aye.
All right, any opposed? Motion carries. We will now move on to item G. Consider a resolution authorizing the use of sales and use tax funds in an amount not to exceed $150,000 to partially fund the city of San Angelo open space improvement, landscaping, and related facilities necessary to enhance the Highway 87 right-of-way, a project authorized under Section 501.103 infrastructure improvement and Section 505.152 of the Texas Local Code for an open space improvements necessary to develop new or expanded business enterprise, and authorizing the board president to negotiate and execute a memorandum of understanding with the city of San Angelo, providing terms for performance and other related documents in a form approved by the city attorney, subject to approval of city council. Presentation made by Mr. Guy Andrews.
Thank you, Mr. Coles. What this is a project to enhance two monuments that are already in existence, to add additional landscaping and monumentation to say welcome to San Angelo. The first of these is a monumentation called 200% wool. It's actually the three U's that you see in the photo on the right. That's located on South 87 in the median, close to the U-Haul, across from Pinky's, and the Stripes is to the north of that. The design there shows how that monumentation would be enhanced in order to add the Welcome to San Angelo signage. The next one is the Working Cowboy, and that's on the north 87, just north of the Starbucks at that intersection. You can see the Working Cowboy monumentation, and then the design shows the enhancements to the landscaping in the monumentation to say, welcome to San Angelo. This will be a lighted project. This is a joint project between us and the city. Al Torres with the construction manager designed this. It's taken a considerable amount of time in dealing to get approvals from TxDOT because of visibility issues and that sort of thing. But we finally had those approvals. We have some preliminary cost estimates. Those estimates currently are a little over $100,000. However, there's still issues with the TxDOT in regard to safety and lighting that they may require. So what we are asking the board is to approve expenditures for this up to $150,000 so that we can deal with any contingencies that might take place. And so I'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions or concerns from the board?
Yes, I have one.
Yeah.
This is going to be in conjunction with the city. What's the city's portion of payment going to be?
What the city's portion of it is actually the design, and they will be responsible for monitoring the construction of this. We're paying for the landscaping and supplies and that sort of thing. So they will also continue to maintain this property. The Parks and Recreation Department has maintained these for a number of years, and they will continue to maintain without cost to COSA DC those two monuments.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or concerns? Okay, I need a motion and a second, please.
I will make the motion.
Garland, I have a second.
Second.
Thank you, Max. Vote, Dr. Cummings,
Aye.
Ed, Max,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Mr. Freeze.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Thank you all. Thanks, Guy.
Thank you.
We want to moved on to 6, closed session, executive session under the provision of Government Code Title 5, Open Government Ethics, Subtitle A, Open Government Subchapter, not subchapter, just regular Chapter 551, Open Meetings, Subchapter D, exceptions to requirement that meetings be open under the following sections. 7, follow-up and administrative issues. A, consider a possible action of items discussed in closed session if needed. B, announcement and consideration of future agenda items. Do we have any items for closed session?
No, sir, there are no items for closed session.
1000
That wasn't for us. Okay. We have no follow-up. Do we have any announcements in consideration of future agenda items?
None.
Very good. And we are adjourned.